Welcome to your foam roller mat Pilates class. I'm Alex, if we haven't met before, and I'm one of the physios here at Bourne Sports and Physio Centre. Hope you're looking forward to today's session. We'll work a combination of core stability exercises, utilising the foam roller where appropriate, but I'll do my best to give you some options that are without the foam roller if anything feels too challenging. As all classes, take your time with each exercise, and if anything feels like it's giving you sharp increasing pain, I would just resort to the previous exercise that felt comfortable until we move on to the next sequence. So to begin with today, we'll start off with some roll downs, old Pilates favourite. So with our feet together, hands on our thighs, I'll get you all to curl down through the spine, one segment at a time, paying attention to those areas that are feeling particularly stiff and sore today. Knees straight, arms relaxed, 10 egg beaters or circular motions in each direction. Beautiful, and then slowly peeling back up, and just initiate that movement from the pelvis and the lower back first, then the middle and upper back, and then the shoulders. Very good, and we'll repeat the same thing again, slowly curling down in your own time. Letting go of any tension that you feel through those shoulders and creating that circular motion for 10 repetitions before changing direction. Beautiful, and then we'll peel back up into standing. Good stuff. We're going to start off in a side kneeling position or in a hip open position. Take your pick, whatever feels comfortable. We're going to begin with a variation on mermaids, one of those great exercises that gets the upper back moving when we have access to the reformers, but I'll take you through a version that you can do safely at home with your foam roller. So if you're comfortable in this hip open position, stay here. Otherwise, come into a kneeling position and you can grab your towel to put underneath your hips or underneath your feet to take pressure off certain areas. We're going to go for 10 repetitions on each side. One hand on the roller, we're going to firstly come into a side bend, going as far as you feel you can, then gently twisting towards the roller so that both of your wrists are on top, and then rolling that roller away from you to get the extra stretch. Controlling back up, wrists on the roller. Right hand comes off, left hand comes off, and side bending the opposite way. Good. 10 of these, so left hand on, firstly side bending as far as you can, then bringing the wrists on for that rotation. Lengthening forwards, controlling back up. Right hand comes off, left hand comes off. Wonderful. We're going to go for 10 repetitions. And as you get a hang of the motion, just making it a nice fluid, continuous stretch. Lovely. And if you're in kneeling, much the same. So side bending first and then creating that rotation. And then reaching up the opposite way. Lovely. You probably all have 2 or 3 more here, and then we'll swap sides. Very good. And we're going to lie lengthways on the roller. Getting on and off is often the trickiest part. Hopefully I can do this gracefully while I'm on camera today, but no guarantees. Oh, and I'll just let Fiona in. There we go. Lovely. And we're going to be lying on our backs here for about 5 exercises. So just center that roller along your spine and create a nice stable support to begin with. So just relaxing the hands and the forearms down on the floor and then the feet about hip width apart. We're not really working stability for this first exercise. We're just working on opening up through the spine and creating that connection between our brains and our core muscles to start off with. If you've tuned into some of the virtual Pilates in the past, so what we'll do is we'll rock to the top of the tailbone, so closest to our heads, without flattening the lower back, and then rocking to the bottom of the tailbone towards our feet, creating a really gentle rocking motion whilst the rest of our body stays nice and relaxed. This might feel challenging to begin with, totally normal, but just allow your brain to connect to the body and initiate that movement with as little extra muscle effort as possible. Think about those feet and hands staying relaxed too. Lovely, we'll keep going. Two more of these. And one. Fantastic, good work everyone. We're now going to come into an extension of the sacral rock and into a spine curl. So I'd like you all to rock to the top of the tailbone, peel the spine up towards the ceiling one segment at a time, holding at the top, and then slowly peeling back down. First through the upper back, then the middle back, then the pelvis and the tailbone. Good. We're going to go for 10 of these. And as you get more comfortable with the motion, feel free to decrease the support through your hands. So if you had your forearms flat before, you might progress just to palms flat or 5 fingertips on each side. And if you're feeling nice and stable, you may just go for 1 fingertip on each side. Fantastic. I'll get you all to tune into your breathing. Just make sure that is consistent. I don't mind whether you breathe in or out on the lift. Just make sure you're breathing throughout the motion. Very good. Well done. Take a quick rest. I'm going to admit more people to class. Lovely. Great. And hello to those that have just joined us. We're just on our foam rollers lengthways. And we've started off with 10 spine curls with a little bit of support through the hands. And now we're going to progress, if we can, to some spine curls with some overhead arms. So feet hip width apart, tucking that tailbone under, peeling the spine up towards the ceiling and lengthening both arms overhead. Short hold at the top and then peeling back down, lowering through that middle back, the lower back, and then the pelvis. You should feel some activation through the glutes and the hamstrings. And as you reach overhead, you should feel some stretching through those lats, the shoulder muscles at the back. This is a great exercise to activate the posterior chain, so the muscles that run along our back, and connect the lower limb muscles to the upper limb muscles via our core. Now, if this is too challenging, you can widen your base of support and you can bring your hands back to the ground. but doing the spine curl on the roller will add that extra core stability challenge. Very good. Have a quick rest. Feel free to rock the knee side to side with the hands flat on the mat, just to release that lower back. And to finish off, we're going to peel up towards the ceiling, lifting the arms up towards the ceiling as well, so not quite overhead this time. Good, and we're going to do double arm openings out to the side, and we're going to do this for 15 repetitions. Nice deep breathing, keeping the shoulders level and the hips level as well. You should be feeling that burn into the glutes by now. If you're not, really dig those heels into the ground, and that should help to activate that area. Fantastic, well done everyone, beautiful. We're going to come off our roller. And we have one more hamstring variation before we come into some side lying work. So place that towel underneath your head and then place your feet on top of the roller. And you should have roughly a 60-degree bend in those knees. We're going to warm up with 5 of the spine curls that we were doing before. So thinking about that articulation of the spine and lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. And this should feel much stronger through the hamstrings compared to the previous exercise that we did. It should also feel more wobbly, of course, at the feet. So it may feel like a challenge to keep that knee bend consistent, but do your very best. If you join us for reformer classes or clinical Pilates classes here, this is very, very similar to doing bridges or spine curls on the reformer with lat springs. Good. So now that we've done 5, those that are up for a challenge through the hamstrings, peel up towards the ceiling, roll the feet away by about 5 centimeters and back in. And we're just going to do 5 here. 2 more. Fantastic. And then slowly peeling back down. Very good. If that was quite strong, feel free to go straight into a hamstring stretch, grabbing the back of your thigh and straightening the foot up towards the ceiling. If you're feeling really game today and want to get that extra burn, join me for 5 more, and then we'll all finish up in the stretch. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well done. Beautiful. So we'll push that roller gently away, left knee bent, foot flat on the ground, interlocking the hands behind the right thigh and straightening that knee and that leg up towards the ceiling. If you have very tight hamstrings like me, you may not be able to fully straighten the leg. That's okay, just go as far as you feel comfortable and keep the foot nice and relaxed. Fantastic, and we'll swap sides, interlocking the hands behind the left leg and then straightening that left leg up towards the ceiling. People often ask about the foot position with this exercise. It does make a difference. If we flex the toes back towards us, that creates more of a calf and neural stretch or sciatic nerve stretch. If the foot is relaxed, we're really just isolating the hamstrings, which is what we're after at the moment. Neural stretches can be good, flexing the foot back, however not appropriate in every case. So if in doubt, just keep the foot nice and relaxed to make sure it's only a muscular stretch and not a nerve stretch. Beautiful. Good work everyone. We're going to have a quick break from the roller and come into some side lying work to activate mainly those outer glute muscles, so glute med. So feel free to create an extra fold in your towel if it feels like it's too flat. It's important that the neck is supported while we're here. We're going to bend the bottom knee and then straighten out the top leg. I may not have got that a little far away enough. There we are. So sideline leg lift, starting off with that top leg parallel to the floor and then lifting the top leg up towards the ceiling and lowering back down. Straight away, you should feel the side of your hip working. If you're not, just make sure that the foot is a little bit behind the hip and not too far in front, because that will really just activate the hip flexors and the hamstrings instead. We're going to do 10 repetitions here. And then we're going to do 10 small pulses at the top. 2 more. Fantastic. Lifting and lowering just by a few centimeters. 10 pulses. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then come into a quick break. Very good. Feel free to hit that glute. Give it a little bit of a massage. Beautiful. And then we're going to straighten that top leg back again. Leg parallel to the ground. And then sweep the leg forward so that's parallel with the bottom leg. And then sweeping the leg back. There is more of a core stability component with this exercise. So it may be useful to have the top hand underneath your side body just to make sure that the back isn't collapsing into the floor. It also is useful to have that hand behind your back just as a quick check to make sure that the lower back isn't overarching and flattening. 2 more. And then we'll come into 10 leg circles each way. So small controlled circles with that top leg forward. Should really feel the burn by now in the glute and also in the hamstring. And then back the other way. Fantastic, good. Well done, everyone. We will stretch that glute, but just before we roll over onto the other side, we're going to come into a side plank position just to work the obliques a little bit more. The obliques resist side bending and rotational movements and are an important part of the abdominal muscle complex. If you find that this is too challenging, I will give you 2 options. You can come into your own variations of some back rotation work, which does work the obliques. So this is something to keep in mind if the side plank is not in your repertoire, either too challenging or puts too much pressure on your shoulder. If your shoulders are okay, you've done side planks before, we have 2 options. A 30-second hold in a short lever side plank, knees, hips and shoulders nicely stacked. Alternatively, coming into a long lever side plank, 1 foot on top of the other and lifting through the hip. So we're going to hold here for 30 seconds. I'll get you all to count roughly in your own time. And I will keep an eye on that clock. Deep breathing helps as you start to feel the shake into the shoulders and into those oblique muscles. And you can always drop down to the lower level option should you fatigue early. Lovely, we've got roughly 5 more seconds. Very, very good. Now before we roll over onto our other side, we'll come onto our backs and we'll stretch out that right glute that worked hard in the previous leg sequence. We're going to hold here for 30 seconds, right heel on the left knee, hugging that knee in towards the chest, or simply keeping that foot down if the knee towards the chest is too intense for you. Very good. So I'm going to bring my towel over to the other end, but I'll get you all just to roll over to your other side. And we'll go through that very same sequence. So bottom knee bend, top leg out straight, and then the foot a little bit behind the hip, lifting that top leg up towards the ceiling, and then slowly lowering back down. We have 10 of these. And if you're not feeling the side of the hip working, just think about creating some suction and drawing that thigh bone up into the hip socket. Alternatively, keep your hand just above that greater trochanter of the hip bone, just to help connect the brain to the body and tell the body where the muscle effort should be coming from. Lovely, and then we have 10 pulses at the top here. And then a quick rest, bending that knee. Very good. Excellent. When you're ready, straightening out that top leg again, exact same starting position, and then sweeping that top leg forwards with the straight knee so that it's in line with the bottom leg, and gently driving the leg back. This will incorporate a little bit more of the hamstrings and a little bit more of the core. Thinking about that spine staying in a nice steady position. And the hip is nearly hinging forwards and backwards on that stable surface. Good job, everyone. Hang in there as this burn gets more intense. And we'll prepare ourselves mentally for those leg circles. So bringing the leg forwards, very small circulation, circular motion coming from the hip joint, pardon me. Good. And then turn the other way. Very, very good. So we've worked those deep rotators of the hip and glute med in conjunction with the hamstrings and core. And we'll come into some of that oblique work now. So to jog your memory, if side planks aren't in your repertoire, legs in tabletop and drifting the knees side to side will also work for your obliques. Otherwise, come into either a short or long lever side plank position. Lovely. So legs straight, shoulders, hips, knees perfectly in line. And then lifting the hips up for that side plank hold. We'll keep an eye on the clock for roughly 30 seconds. Keep that breathing up. And keep that bottom hip up just to ensure that those obliques are working as we would hope. Good. 5 seconds to go. Fabulous. Well done, everyone. We'll come onto our backs. We'll cross the left heel onto that right knee. You can stay here if the stretch is strong enough. Otherwise, bring that right knee in towards the chest. Very good. So you've all started with some somewhat challenging core, glute and hamstring work. So well done on making it this far. We will even things up and work a little bit more through the shoulder girdle and upper limb for our next exercise sequence. Beautiful. So we're going to come into a 4-point kneeling position and stretch out without the roller to begin with, but keep that one close by as we will go straight into some 4-point upper limb work. So knees and hands in contact with the ground. We're going to curl up through the spine for cat-cows, hollowing through the upper back and feeling that good stretch in between the shoulder blades. Then dropping the lower back down and looking up towards the ceiling. Good. Each movement together counting as one. We're going to do 10 in total. So this is number 3. And number 4. Lovely. Great exercise to get the facet joints moving in our spine. The little joints that produce flexion and extension, as well as side bending and rotation. And certainly don't get enough movement when we're sedentary throughout the day. So this is a great work from home desk break exercise. And hopefully you're feeling various parts of your spine opening and closing with increasing ease as we move through. One more. Very good. So you've just explored the extremes of your spinal mobility. I'd like you to find that halfway point now. So with the chin tucked in and shoulders back. And then grabbing that roller and bringing it underneath your wrists. You can do this without the roller and still get great benefit in terms of shoulder stability and upper limb work. However, the roller will add a little bit more core control to the exercise. So just to start off with, once you've found that happy medium and that neutral spine, I'd like you all to bring your weight over onto the left hand and gently lift it off the foam roller. And then lifting the left hand off and bringing your weight to the right. We often talk about weight-bearing exercises for osteoporosis. Those of you who have been diagnosed with osteoporosis or penia may have heard about the importance of weight-bearing exercise to help strengthen the bones. And we often think about the legs, but we don't often think about the upper limb. So this is an example of an exercise that really helps to strengthen the upper limb bones and prevents, I guess, the likelihood of a fracture or further bone health deterioration as we get older. So as much as this might feel like a little bit of pressure, think of it as good pain to help keep your bones nice and strong. Lovely. We're going to bring our weight over onto the right hand now and lift the left hand forwards, floating back to the starting position, shifting the weight, and then reaching the right hand forwards. Think about the hips and shoulders staying in line and not letting one of those body parts duck too far out to the side. You should feel quite centered over that wrist. One more on each side. Lovely. And we'll give our wrists a break. We'll sit back on our heels and we'll reach the arms forward on the roller for an assisted child's pose stretch. And we'll just hold here for 30 seconds. Very good. So we're going to come back into the same position. If the pressure is feeling like too much on your wrists, you can go without the foam roller and you can hold on to either weights or create a fist position through your hands. We're going to do some hover work here to help work the core and abdominal muscles. Lovely. So we're going to tuck the toes under and then lift the knees up. Hold for 5 seconds and lowering back down. Good. So you should see, hopefully, that my back is staying in a nice stable position. And there's not, I guess, that cat or cow position happening, and instead you're maintaining that neutral spine as you lift the knees up. You should hopefully feel like a fair bit of work through the upper abs. We'll go for 10 repetitions. Two more, everyone. Lovely, and just sitting back on the heels and rolling out those wrists. Well done. Very good. That one probably got the heart rate up a little bit. Doesn't look like much, but certainly worked those abs quite intensely. Next exercise is a slight progression on that, so you will come into a front support, otherwise known as a plank, and I will give those interested a higher level option in that position too. If either of these look or feel too challenging, just go back to doing the harder that we were performing before. So, front support, shoulders over wrists, and then coming into a plank position. You'll feel that roller rocking forwards and backwards, trying to challenge you. Maintain as much stability as you can. And if you're up for the challenge, join me for some mountain climbers. So just bringing one knee in towards the chest at a time. This is certainly a more advanced exercise, but I know there's a few of you that are in class today that will appreciate this burn through the abs in a really nice supported position for the back. One more each side. Beautiful. And we're going to stretch out into child's pose once again for 30 seconds. Good job, everyone. Stretch those arms forwards. Feel free to rest that head on the mat to get some extra elongation through the upper back. And allow your heart rate and breath to slow right down. Lovely, and we'll come back into a 4-point kneeling position. We're going to stretch out with a thread the needle stretch. And we're going to go for 5 in each direction. So with the roller to your left, you're going to gently bend the left elbow, thread the right arm through, allowing that roller to assist your movement. And just go as far as you feel you can without the position of the hips changing. Slowly control that roller back in and then reach up towards the ceiling. Very good. Feel that rib cage swiveling on the hips, getting that good stretch through the upper back and shoulder. And reaching that arm up towards the ceiling. Awesome exercise for the thoracic spine. Part of the spine that doesn't get as much movement as it needs. Fantastic. Good. And then we'll come to the other side for another repetition at 5 with thread the needle. So looping that left arm through this time, gently bending that right elbow, and then reaching the left arm up towards the ceiling. Fantastic. Good. So next series, we're going to work our glutes a little bit more again. And we're going to come to a forearm prep position. We can bring the roller off to the side as we'll have a little bit of a rest from that one. So we're going to connect our forearms to the mat. And I'd like you all to think about the shoulder blades gently squeezing together and creating length through the collarbone. So imagining that the collarbones are lengthening out to the side. That should hopefully feel like you've created a nice open position through the chest and feeling some engagement in between the shoulder blades. Keep the palms nice and flat and some counter pressure into those forearms too, so pressing into the ground. So you should already feel like you're working your arms, even though you're simply placing your forearms onto the ground. There should be energy down and feeling that counter pressure back up. Now what we'll do is we'll kick the right leg up towards the ceiling with a bent knee and then controlling back down. We're going to go for 10 of these. Really focus on that left side and make sure that you're not feeling that left hip losing control and falling out to that left side. 2 more. Good. Have a quick rest. You can come out of that forearm position and do a few cat-cows if you need to create a little bit of movement through the spine. Then have the palms open and flat on the ground, collarbones lengthening, drawing the shoulder blades together. And then I'll get you all to slide that right leg behind you, lift up, lower back down, and slide in. We're going to do 5 of these. Well done, 2 more. Should feel quite strong through the shoulders now. Good. And now straighten that right leg out behind you, lift it up, and I want you to tap that right foot behind the left, so in a diagonal, and then that right foot out to the side. That counts as 1. We're going to do 5 taps. Right foot over the left, and then right foot out to the side. 3 more. You'll feel the left foot kicking in now. 2 more. And 1 more. Fabulous. And back in kneeling. A few cat-cows again to open up through the spine. Well done. And we'll come back into that forearm prep position, starting off with our glute kicks for 10 on the left side. Left knee bent, lifting that foot up towards the ceiling and lowering back down. Good. If you feel your lower back dropping towards the mat, I want you to visualize a Swiss ball or a balloon underneath your belly, and you can't let the belly drop, otherwise it's going to pop the balloon or the Swiss ball. So just think about that lift through the lower abs. 2 more. Very good. Back up in 4-point kneeling, rocking side to side, up and down for a quick stretch. Back into the forearm prep position, chin tucked in, sliding the leg back, up towards the ceiling, down and in. 5 in total here. And just lifting up as far as you feel you can control the position of your spine. So that might only be a very small lift. That's totally okay. Good. Sliding that left leg back, lifting up. Tap over the right foot, diagonally across the body, and then tap away out to the side. Good. Keep that lift through the lower abs. 3 more. 2. And 1. Fabulous. Rest completely now and lie on your stomach. Lovely. Forehead resting on the towel. Bring those arms by your side for a quick break. And then we'll come into some back extensions. So, moderate version is coming up into the forearms and arching into a back extension, holding for 5, and then lowering down flat. Alternatively, you can push up onto the hands and come into a full back extension, holding for 5. So long as your hips are flat on the ground and this isn't causing sharp pain, this is an excellent exercise to be doing. It really counteracts all of the forward bending we do through our spine throughout the day. So bending up and down to pick things up off the floor, slumping in our chair on the couch. So the spine loves working in the opposite direction. Good. We'll do 2 more here, everyone. Fantastic. Well done. We're going to grab our rollers again. And we'll place that lengthways on the mat. Grab your towel to support the head and neck. And we'll get back on top of the roller. Maybe easily, maybe not. No judgment, no shame if you fall off. We've all done it. Okay. And we're going to slow the heart rate down, calm the nervous system down after what was some more intense core, glute and upper limb work just before. Center yourselves on the roller. We're just going to go right back to those sacral rocks. So rocking to the top of the tailbone and then rocking to the bottom of the tailbone. Each direction counting as 1. We'll do 10 in total. Keep your arms relaxed on the mat, feet hip width apart for a nice wide base of support. We're not trying to challenge ourselves here, we're just trying to connect back to our body and help establish good patterns, good awareness for the core stability exercises that are to come. Three more. Lovely. We're going to start off with some bent knee fallouts, and I'd like you all to bring your ankles and knees nice and close and start off with maximal support through your upper limbs. So you should feel your forearms and hands nicely in contact with the ground. And what I'll get you all to do is to gently let the right knee fall out to the side, just as far as you feel you can control without that left knee moving. And then floating the left knee out to the side. Good. 5 each side, 10 all together. Upper back and trunk area should feel very, very still, despite the little wobbles that you'll feel on the roller. And 1 more on each side. Fantastic. Good. If that felt like enough of a challenge, I'll get you all to do another set of 10 there. Otherwise, come into hand or just fingertip support, or even no support, so hands can come off the ground. I would only challenge yourself to the level where you still feel you've got control and you can keep that stabilizing leg nice and still. So, right knee out to the side, and then left knee out to the side. Good. This may not feel like there's a lot of muscle effort happening, but it does engage the core muscles to work through what we call the rotational plane, so resisting rotational type movements. And it also lengthens our inner thigh muscles as well as engaging the deep rotators of our hip. So although subtle, there's a lot of great things that are happening in our body right now. One more on each side. Beautiful. Excellent. So we're going to bring the feet hip width apart now and now focus on rotational control through the upper limbs. So we'll start off with the feet nice and wide, floating that right hand out to the side and then the left hand out to the side. People will often have good intentions and hold the arms very, very straight and try and make this movement perfect. I'd encourage you all just to keep the arms nice and relaxed, really let them float and elongate out to the side. Less is more with this exercise, and the less work our upper arms are doing, the more our core will be allowed to do. One more each side. Very good. Feel free to bring the feet closer for this next set of 10 to challenge yourself further. And great work if you can get those feet really nice and close. As you challenge yourselves to your highest level, it may reveal which side is more challenged in the rotational plane. So for me, certainly bringing the right arm out to the side is more challenging, which is actually more indicative of poor stability on the left. So not so much a problem with the right, but more of a problem with the left. Very good, excellent. Have a quick rest, bring the arms back to the roller. Feel free to do a few of those sacral rocks again to reset. Lovely, and then finding the middle of the tailbone, feet hip width apart, arms up towards the ceiling. We're going to combine those two movements that we just did. So, left knee comes out to the side, right arm floats out to the side, controlling back up, and then swapping sides. We're going to go 10 each side, 20 all together, nice and slowly. If this is really too challenging, just increase the base of support through your feet. So bring the feet out wider, or you can come off the roller altogether. Alternatively, you can just make the movement much smaller. So you can do very tiny knee and arm fallouts out to the side. And if that's a challenge, that's still going to be working your core to its highest level. Now, this is quite a complex movement. We're incorporating some coordination, core stability. So as much as this may not be physically taxing and you might not feel a muscle burn, it should feel mentally taxing. And just make sure that the deep breathing continues and then we're not holding our breath to perform this more easily. Very good. After your 20, stretch those arms out to the side, palms up towards the ceiling. Fill the rib cage with air and then fully exhale. A few deep breaths while we stretch out the pecs. Very, very good. We'll bring the arms back by our side and we're going to finish off with a little bit more abdominal work. Firstly, a tabletop prep position. Start with your forearms flat if you haven't done this before. and bring the right leg up to 90 degrees, otherwise known as tabletop. Then the left leg up to 90 degrees. Drop the right leg back down, and then the left leg back down. Lower abdominal area should be engaged here. Think about those hip bones drawing together. And if you've been taught how to switch on the pelvic floor, thinking about that right now can help to create a bit more activation through the core and the lower abs. Good. We'll now swap sides, so initiating the left first to 90 degrees, then the right. Left leg back down, right leg back down. Decrease the support through your hands as you get more comfortable. Very good, excellent. We're going to go into a tabletop position, provided that that exercise before felt achievable. If you felt like the back was really gripping, just continue with that previous exercise. Otherwise, please come into tabletop, hips and knees at 90 degrees. And we're going to come into some alternating bicycle legs. Again, bring the forearms down to the floor if you'd like some extra support. Otherwise, challenge yourself through your fingertips. This is the last higher intensity exercise, I promise. So, lengthening the left leg out in front of you, and then you'll immediately swap to the bicycle leg. Straightening that knee, and immediately changing. This should feel quite strong through the abs and also the hip flexors. Don't worry if you're feeling the hip flexors. We need them to work here to flex and extend that hip joint. Good. Stay with me here. 4 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Fantastic. Well done, everyone. We're going to stretch it out now. Coming off the roller, place it horizontally on your mat and target in between the shoulder blades. Hands interlocked behind your head and gently arch over the roller. As a starting point, I would work just below the shoulder blades. And this should feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's how we know we're working through a segment that is stiff through our spine. But if it's sharp or increasing, you can just gently roll that roller slightly up or down to get to a more comfortable spot. But as I said, a bit of discomfort is perfectly safe to work through. And if you haven't changed just yet, gently roll the roller up a little bit higher so you're more in between the shoulder blades and arch over the top. Good. And what I'll get you all to do now is to flatten the back and tuck the tailbone under and lift the hips up off the floor. And we're going to roll through the upper back. So keep that tuck of the tailbone so that core and glutes are engaged and we're not overarching the lower back. And we can just focus on rolling out those tight knots located through our thorax and in between the shoulder blades. And if you find a spot that feels particularly tight or sore, feel free to gently roll on that spot until it releases. Very good. And now we're going to bring the roller underneath our armpit. Elbow on the floor or on the mat, hands still interlocked behind the head. This is a variation on open books. And if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is really sore underneath my armpit, you're not alone. It's normally indicative of tight rotator cuff muscles or tight lats. And lying on the roller in this way is going to help release them. So if it's sore, that's to be expected, and believe it or not, this should help. So what I'll get you all to do is to roll forwards, bring the right elbow down towards the left. You should feel pressure being taken away, and then gently open up through the back like an open book, but much smaller movement than normal. Hips and knees should stay still, but it should feel like the rib cage is swiveling. And of course, that armpit area feeling tender as we roll over some nice knots. And one more. Very good. And then we'll swap sides. Now, if you're right hand dominant, the right side on top of the roller may feel a little bit more tender than the left. Alternatively, the side that you may have a past injury on, we would expect to feel a little bit tender too. So rocking forwards and then rotating back over that roller. Hips nice and still, isolating the movement to the upper back, even if that movement is quite small. So if you've done your open books and you thread the needle to death and you're looking for a variation on that theme, this is a great exercise to do in your own time. Fantastic. That good torture is over. Well done, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed today's class. Hopefully a few new ones in there to keep your Pilates brains engaged. We will have more virtual classes running every day throughout this stage 4 period. And of course the clinic is still open for emergencies and for people that are deteriorating. So if you're struggling at home, please reach out to us. We're here to help. And most of you will have a conversation with the physio prior to that appointment just to determine whether face-to-face or telehealth is required in your case. So keep that in mind if you have any niggles that need addressing. Otherwise, hopefully see you all virtually very, very soon. Take care. Hope you're all well. Bye.